Of all the substances in the human body, none has been so paradoxically revered and reviled, so shrouded in myth and mystery, as semen. To the modern materialist eye, it is merely a biological fluid, a vehicle for genetic information. But across cultures and millennia, it has been seen as something far more profound, the quintessential elixir of life, the concentrated essence of vital force, the very seat of a man's creative and spiritual power. It is from this ancient understanding that the practice of semen retention arises, not as a mere sexual abstinence or a quirky biohack, but as a profound alchemical process. It is the art and science of transmuting the base lead of primal, scattered energy into the spiritual gold of conscious, creative, and spiritual mastery. This is the alchemy of transformation, the journey from lead to gold. The foundational principle of this alchemy is the concept of prana, chi, or vital energy. Every tradition acknowledges a subtle life force that animates the body, fuels the mind, and connects us to the cosmos. In the Taoist tradition, this energy, Jing, is considered the foundational treasure the battery-charged one is born with. It is stored in the kidneys and is the root of our vitality, longevity, and reproductive power. Semen is understood to be the most dense, physical manifestation of this primordial Jing. Every ejaculation, therefore, is not just the loss of a fluid, but a significant expenditure of this core life force. The modern world, with its hypersexualized culture and instant gratification ethos, encourages a prodigal spending of this treasure, often leading to a state of depleted energy, mental fog, and spiritual ennui. The retentive alchemist, in stark contrast, chooses to conserve this substance, to redirect its immense potential inward and upward, initiating a transformation on every level of his being. The idea that sexual essence is intrinsically linked to life force and higher consciousness is not new. It forms a cornerstone of virtually every major esoteric and spiritual tradition. These historical frameworks provide the necessary philosophical blueprint for understanding retention as an alchemical process. In Taoist internal alchemy, the transformation is clearly defined through the three treasures: Jing, essence; Qi, vitality/life force; and Shun, spirit/consciousness. Jing is the raw material, the base lead. It is the primal, inheritable substance stored in the kidneys that dictates longevity and reproductive capacity. According to Taoist masters, the reckless expenditure of Jing, particularly through excessive ejaculation, is the primary cause of aging and diminished vitality. The alchemical process begins by conserving Jing, retention. This conserved essence is then transformed, or cooked, by disciplined practice, meditation, breathwork, martial arts, into Qi. Qi is the vital energy that circulates through the meridians, conferring strength, health, and a dynamic presence. Finally, Qi is sublimated into Shun. Shun is the spiritual fire, the gold. It manifests as profound wisdom, clarity of thought, compassion, and an illuminated presence. The Taoist path, therefore, is explicitly an alchemical one, using continents to turn the base essence, Jing, into the luminous spirit, Shun. Similarly, in the 8 limbs of classical yoga, the practice of brahmacharya, continence, is categorized as one of the 5 yamas, moral restraints. It is often translated as walking with God or conduct befitting Brahman, emphasizing its role as a spiritual discipline rather than simple celibacy. The corresponding alchemical element in the yogic tradition is ojas. Ojas is often described as the subtle, refined essence distilled from all the body's tissues. The last tissue in the Ayurvedic cascade to be created is Shukra Dhatu, reproductive fluid. If this fluid is conserved, it is said to turn inward and upward, becoming ojas, which is stored in the heart and brain. Ojas is the resulting gold, the substance of spiritual maturity. A person rich in ojas possesses natural radiance, exceptional immune strength, profound mental stability, and charisma, often referred to as tejas, or inner fire. The conservation of the reproductive fluid thus provides the necessary pressure and raw material for this inner distillation process. The lead, in this modern alchemical analogy, is the purely physical and psychological state of being governed by uncontrolled sexual drive and the immediate gratification cycle. It represents the unexamined life driven by biological impulse. From a contemporary biological perspective, the act of ejaculation is linked to a massive, momentary flood of dopamine, followed by a post-orgasmic refractory period that results in a sharp drop in energy, motivation, and mental clarity. The typical post-nut clarity that is actually a form of temporary mental and physical deflation. This cycle trains the mind towards instant, high-reward, low-effort stimulus, diminishing one's tolerance for the discomfort required to achieve long-term, meaningful goals. The retention practice challenges this conditioning directly. By withholding the immediate release, the body is forced to reabsorb and metabolize the constituent components of the seminal fluid. While scientific research on the direct hormonal conversion of semen into other substances is complex, the subjective and psychological effects are undeniable. Conserved sexual energy represents a massive reservoir of latent biological motivation that, when unspent, becomes available for other high-level cortical functions. The raw, volcanic force of the libido is the lead, heavy, potent, and unshaped. The work of the alchemist is to harness this raw force. The repeated act of releasing this vital essence reinforces a subconscious paradigm of scarcity and expenditure. The individual habitually prioritizes a fleeting, high-intensity release over the sustained, gradual accumulation of inner vitality. This behavior translates into a general lack of discipline in other areas of life. Poor financial management, inconsistent exercise, and a constant search for external validation. The lead state is characterized by low mental endurance, inability to focus on complex tasks for long periods, emotional reactivity, impulsiveness, easily swayed by minor stresses or temptations, creative stagnation, the inability to sustain the energy needed for creative or intellectual breakthroughs. Retention forces a shift from this mindset of instant consumption to one of sustainable accumulation and mastery. The intermediate stage of alchemy, the process of separatio and conjunctio, separation and joining, is represented by the sustained discipline of semen retention itself. This phase involves confronting and mastering the internal resistance, transforming the character through sheer force of will. The most immediate and profound transformation of retention is the elevation of willpower. Willpower is the internal fire that burns away the base metal. To consciously choose to conserve the most powerful biological drive is an act of supreme self-governance. This discipline is transferable. The inner strength required to abstain from impulsive sexual release naturally radiates outward, improving one's ability to adhere to strict diets, rigorous exercise routines, and demanding work schedules. This psychological refinement leads to a significant increase in what is often termed prefrontal cortex dominance. By overriding the immediate pleasure center, the limbic system, the alchemist strengthens the area of the brain responsible for long-term planning, moral choice, and emotional regulation. This creates an internal stability that is impervious to the minor stressors that overwhelm the average person. The practitioner becomes less reactive, more thoughtful, and possesses a deliberate sense of purpose. As the conserved energy is redirected, the practitioner experiences a notable shift in emotional baseline. The volatile mood swings and energetic crashes associated with the release cycle diminish. This sustained, stable energy creates a wellspring of natural, unforced confidence. This confidence is not derived from external approval, but from the internal, self-validated knowledge that one can control the most intense part of one's own nature. This is the stage where the base metal begins to shine, revealing its innate value. The conserved energy, when transmuted through focused intent, e.g., intense work, art, physical training, fuels a charismatic vitality, often perceived by others. This is not just physical energy, but a subtle psychological magnetism. The individual's presence intensifies, becoming centered and authoritative, a direct consequence of the continuous recycling and upgrading of the vital essence within the system. The final stage of the alchemical process is the culmination, the creation of the philosopher's stone, or the transmutation of the raw material into the perfected gold, ajas and shun. This is the state where conserved vitality is leveraged for creative output and spiritual illumination. The ultimate purpose of sexual energy is not merely procreation, but creation itself. When the primordial life force is intentionally blocked from its lower channel of release, it naturally seeks higher pathways for expression. The stored Jing/Shukra transforms into Ajas/Shun, manifesting as heightened creativity, intellectual insight, and a ceaseless spring of motivation. Great artists, thinkers, and innovators throughout history, from Nikola Tesla to Carl Jung, practiced varying degrees of continence, recognizing that this conserved energy was directly proportional to their capacity for focused work and breakthrough ideas. The gold state provides sustained focus, clarity, the ability to enter and remain in deep flow states, where complex problems are solved with ease and innovative solutions spontaneously arise. Charisma, magnetism, a nonverbal energy that draws people and opportunities to the individual. Intuitive insight, wisdom, the connection of the conserved life force to higher consciousness, leading to moments of profound, intuitive understanding. The energy that would be expended in a few moments of pleasure is, through retention, converted into the fuel for months or years of intense, world-changing creative work. On the highest level, the alchemical gold represents spiritual realization. The conserved and uplifted energy, Kundalini in yogic terms, is essential for activating higher centers of consciousness. The practice moves beyond mere physical benefit and becomes a key to unlocking inner peace and self-knowledge. The gold is the stability of a completely integrated, self-sufficient psyche, a state where external pressures hold little sway, and the individual operates from a place of deep, resonant inner truth. This stage is marked by a deep sense of connection to one's purpose and a profound, quiet joy. The joy that comes not from external stimulation, but from the internal abundance of life force. The individual has transcended the base material of instinctual craving and operates on the plane of spiritualized, creative will. Semen retention, viewed through the lens of inner alchemy, is a rigorous discipline that encapsulates the human journey from instinct to transcendence. It is the conscious decision to take the most volatile and fundamental biological energy, the base metal of lead, representing raw, undisciplined life force, and subject it to the intense, refining fire of willpower. The result is not a denial of life, but an amplification of it. By conserving and transmuting the seminal fluid, the practitioner refines their biological essence, Jing, into circulating vitality, Qi, and ultimately into spiritual luminosity, Shun or Ajas. This internal alchemy results in the gold, a self that is emotionally stable, intellectually sharp, magnetically charismatic, and driven by an unwavering, purposeful will. The practice of semen retention is thus a practical, timeless manual for self-mastery, providing the energetic foundation upon which a truly transformed and transcendent life can be built. The alchemist does not simply seek to change base metal. They seek to change themselves, and in doing so, they change their world. Join the Retain to Thrive Telegram channel at the link below, where we focus on building discipline, overcoming distractions, and achieving goals. Join the supportive community sharing tips, motivation, and accountability. Let's grow together, one step at a time. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and share the video.